So, I call this meeting to order. 7 p.m.
That's not mine.
Welcome to the Simon Fairfield Public Library Board of Trustees public meeting for Tuesday, January 28th, 2020. We have a quorum. Ellie sent out minutes from the previous meeting. I'm hoping everyone's had a chance to read them. If there were any.
They're attached to the back if anyone needs to reference them.
Updates, corrections, questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as written.
So moved.
Second,
Second?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alright, moving right along. Move on to the financial report.
First thing I want to do is give a huge shout out to Unibank,
Yes.
who heard my call for help. They awarded the library a $2,500 grant to spend on digital materials. It's a huge help for getting people the ebooks and the e-audiobooks that they want. I have about 5,000 more. I can buy all the titles that people have requested. But that helps a lot. It was awesome. They came Monday morning. We took our picture with the big check, and I'll write it up in our next newsletter, and they're going to post it as well. So
That's great.
so there should be publicity about that soon. As for account balances, I mean, we were just here 2 weeks ago. Not much has happened. Obviously, the influx of the grant money from from Unibank went into the donations account, and I've already spent it. The bills just haven't come in yet, so that will be reflected next meeting. And yeah, there's one line item that's actually less than it was before because something got reclassed as a custodial supply, because apparently light bulbs are custodial supplies, not repairs and maintenance. I don't know.
You think?
It's exciting stuff.
And that's it for my finance report. Are I still looking at the finance report?
No, I
I'm looking at the director's report.
Okay, so we're moving on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, moving on to the director's report.
Reported December circulation at the last meeting, so there's no need to repeat all that. So a little something else, just some cute little charts. The first chart shows the combined collections from the consortium, how they've been used by Douglas patrons since FY16. And for FY20, I'm just using a projection of what we've done so far this year, so how we're projected to do. Since half the fiscal year is over, it's easy, you just multiply by 2. You can see 2018 kind of represented a collection development shift for me. I started buying multiple copies of more popular things and focusing on filling the holes and getting things moving instead of trying to create the ideal balanced collection of material that every librarian wants, and that has led to this slow and steady increase in physical circs and a pretty big increase in digital circs. The second chart is the same thing, but it shows how our collections owned by us, have been used by the entire consortium. The consortial use of our physical collections has been going down, precisely because I've been trying to focus on filling our patrons' holds. I extended holds protections on things, so new items are reserved for Douglas patrons for the first 6 weeks now instead of 4. And I have, basically eliminated DVD spending. I buy a little bit, but not a whole lot. And those were things that went out a lot. Also, since we're not circulating out of the attic, all of those closed stacks of materials up there that we're generating, circs in the rest of the consortium we're not running up and down the stairs for those anymore.
Right.
And, the rest of the consortium is missing out, but Douglas patrons aren't missing anything. The use of the digital collections, though, is just astronomically insane because of the demand for ebooks and e-materials and the fact that other libraries aren't filling them. When, we buy a license, there's different kinds, but, basically I hold on to it until it's not being used and hasn't been used for about a month. And then I'll share it with the consortium. And forever, we will get first dibs. So like if a Douglas patron puts a hold on it, that'll be in the holds queue, but they're not just hanging out as available with no one checking them out. And since someone can check them out, they automatically ping to the next patron. I mean, we're getting, in another couple of years, then we're gonna be circulating, more digital material than physical material when it comes to our consortial, or relationship with the consortium. So just fun stuff. At the last meeting, someone asked me what libraries tend to spend their library incentive grant money on. So I trawled last year's ARIS responses and categorized things, and so you can see like a little chart down there. The amount of because you get some are like pre-constructed options whenever you're filling out your ARIS report: materials, programming, staffing, saving, repairs, maintenance, construction, and technology are all options you can choose, and then you're asked, what else do you use your funding on? So then people can type in stuff, and a lot of it's redundant. I mean, capital items is repairs and maintenance, but I didn't want to sort of just speak for the other directors and respondents by classifying their stuff. But that's what other libraries are doing. And that's it for my director's report.
Right. Moving right along to old business, building projects and the building subcommittee. Is the building, is that under here? Okay, that's under, never mind, it's under grants.
Yeah, and, I guess it could be, since it's under grants, it's under grants.
Yeah, okay, alright, hot water heater, how's that going?
I restarted a conversation with the Home Depot managers. Apparently there's a lot of them and they all have to agree before a project can move forward. So I'm, again, waiting to hear back from them. I'll poke them again in a few days if there's no progress. Koopman doesn't do water heaters. And I don't know that there are, I haven't found any other big vendors in the area who might be willing to throw moves and boxes of money at us. So I'm gonna keep pounding at Home Depot because they've got money.
They do.
And water heaters.
Yeah, that's a good combination.
Osterman has water heaters too.
Osterman.
In Whitensville.
That's more local.
And they do local grants.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And I probably pay them enough to install a water heater every month for propane
There you go.
to my house. Because we have that giant glass roof on the back of the house. He just goes.
Alright. Any other ideas on a hot water heater? Okay,
Do plumbers put them in? Or?
It takes a plumber and an electrician.
No, I'm wondering if therefore, do they sell them?
Oh, I don't know. I think they still have to have a vendor that they supply through.
I'm pretty sure.
Usually,
Yeah.
Does Sosha do stuff like that, or,
They don't sell the tank,
but they do?
but they would install.
under other old business, any other old business? All right, moving on to grants. And the capital campaign,
There's been no increase in money in the account since last meeting. I don't know if we want to do this here, friends, but there's the PayPal link now that people can use to donate to the Friends of the Library. The mailing's gonna be going out later this week. And it will indicate on the website where you can go, and now there's an option of like either using it, you can donate your money for your Friends membership or for ongoing library support or the capital campaign. So we'll be able to keep track of what's donated to the Friends that way, and then the Friends can put it in the interest-bearing building account of the town so that it can live with all the rest of the money we're trying to, you know, to raise.
good.
And I want to write some, I want to kind of try to blitz all this at the same time, so when the Friends newsletter goes out, I also want to get some articles in the paper.
Yeah.
Kind of, you know, talking about the history of the project and soliciting donations. And I don't know if we still wanted to move on the GoFundMe, but I think that the Friends of the Library button makes it a little bit redundant, because that's easily shared.
The donate button?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
It's there, and
agree.
if you click on the donate button, it takes you to like a little, hopefully, a little page with the Friends logo, and then you can choose what your donation is for, and you can just share this hyperlink too.
Oh, nice.
All right, cool.
Oh, actually, I took out ongoing library support because I wanted them to put it in the accessibility and renovation project. Friends annual membership or accessibility and renovation project.
Okay,
Unless you want me to put the other one back in.
no, I don't care.
Okay.
I mean, that's right. I'm just hoping nobody will use it because we get, that PayPal does take a hunk, about the same as GoFundMe, and it's, I just prefer checks or cash.
The flyer on the page is pretty updated.
Yeah. I just started printing these today, so that will happen. I'll probably update the language on the page too to be more like this. And
The amounts are the same.
Yeah.
But it's newer and it's a better color.
What, blue? What was it? Goldenrod before?
Goldenrod.
Golden, gold. Money, money, money.
There you go. Sparkly.
Well, while we're on Friends, can I just say thanks to Dawn, who helped me through getting the PayPal thing all done. And thanks to Kate for doing all the editing work on the flyer. So it was nice.
Do we want to just keep going down the agenda, or do you want to do Friends now, jump ahead a little and come back, or?
Oh, no, basically, that's all I was gonna say was the flyers are
Oh, okay,
gonna be
all
mailed
right.
out.
So moving down to the Mass Preservation Project.
We are not a historic property. I thought we were, but we're not. We're not on the state register, so we do not qualify for this grant fund. Getting on the register before this grant round isn't possible because it's a long and arduous process.
Right.
But a lot of the lead work has already been done by Don Fontaine and David Metz because they work with the Historical Commission. They're working on a historic district. And they've been trying to get like all the information they can on all these buildings in the area and then do the historic district application. I think what we decided is that I'm going to go ahead and move forward with a building application.
Right.
Because then that would actually end up helping their case in the long run too.
Exactly.
Because the library would be an anchor for the historic district. So I'm like, this process has been started 3 times and never finished. Apparently
Well,
once in the
and,
90s and once in the 60s.
I was the chair of it in the 90s, I think, and it was slammed down, you know, so I don't know.
Who slammed
that-
it down? The historic?
The
state?
town. The town did. I don't know if it ever got to town meeting, but every meeting we went to, people did not like it. It was too restrictive. They didn't
Well,
like the
that was
idea
my
of it.
concern. That was my
Does the town
question.
have to approve the state
Yeah.
recognizing your property as historic?
Well,
Building?
if you're having a historic district, yeah, you do have to get that approved by the town.
Because I don't think that just having your structure,
But it's restrictive
Has to go.
also on the structure, if it's an individual thing, like
Mhm.
so I would wanna know what the limitations were
And I
before.
thought of that after we had our talk about it too, was, I know when someone's house goes on the historical register, that's like,
Nobody liked it. I mean, that, we just gave up. I mean, Pete Tatro was even on that committee and,
yeah,
we said, okay, well,
Yeah,
it's
I
not right for it
understand.
now, so good luck to all of you that are working on it now, so.
I would like to find out what restrictions there would be as far as trying to bring our building up to
according to the
code.
person I talked to, it doesn't bring any restrictions. All it brings is, potential grant money. It comes with pros but no cons. A historic district may have rules and, that people have to abide by. Like, you have to paint things a certain color, things have to be preserved in a certain way.
Right,
The library, like basically the original edifice has to exist.
yep,
And I mean, we don't plan on doing anything to the original edifice. I mean, we don't plan on,
The back of it, we do.
but we're not going to
And if that's
destroy
the-
it. We're just gonna add something onto it.
But if that's becomes the main entrance, so there might be something.
They're good.
And I asked if, their grant funding could be used for a project like that, and they're like, absolutely, it's, because you're creating accessibility to a historic building. if
this
you
is true.
Have it. So I can poke deeper. It's a long enough arduous process, though, that we'll talk about it many more times
I'm
before it
sure
actually
we will,
happens.
I'm sure we will, but,
I look for
it's on the radar,
This will be the new strategic plan.
yeah. Going back in time. Okay. So, anything else on Friends, Ellie?
No.
No, okay. Boy, we're moving right along.
I know, this is great.
It's crazy.
I get to
Something
get back to the
happens-
library and print out 100 more bundles.
Something has to be wrong here. Anything other under grants and other under old business? We got lots of others. New business. Which I don't understand, this transfer interest bearing account at Unibank. I need clarification.
Okay, so right now, whenever we created the interest-bearing building fund, it was basically created because Ellie made a donation and said she wanted it to go into a building fund that would bear interest
Mm-hmm,
instead of going into our current old building donations account, which earns interest, but it goes into the town's general fund. So they created an account, put that money in it, and we've been trying to funnel more money into it since it
Mhm.
benefits us to do so. At the time, though, I think the initial donation was 500, 700, something like that. And so they put it in a savings account at Unibank instead of opening like a great trust or anything like that. But it's grown since then, and we didn't make our intentions clear with it either. Like, we never said, we're not going to touch this money until we have a big renovation.
Yeah, but
So-
I mean, I've been yelling about it for years, so. We
But-
used to have it in an interest-bearing account, and then it was taken away from us. And our LIGMEG funds used to go into an interest-bearing, which was the MMDA, or DT, whatever that is. They all were held in those, and all of a sudden,
I wonder when the Maston or the laws changed.
I don't think they did, and that's why we can do it now. I think it was just what internally they do for the town, and they were, I remember distinctly them saying, well, we want it, like our trust funds, we used to take care of them ourselves. And then I was strong on, we should have the town do it because we'll get in trouble if we mess around with it too much, And then, when I was trying to get the trust funds all put into interest-bearing accounts, they said no, that they need that money for the general fund or for the town. And I said, but you've never had this money before. You've never had the interest from these accounts, so why can't we have it? because we always have had it, and that's why it's been so tough to turn over these funds to the town. So,
I know right now the issue is mass general law, because it says, it specifies how every donation to the municipality has to be handled, and what can go where, and how they can be used, and like schedules for deaccessioning if, funds aren't used, and it's crazy how granular it gets.
but
And it addresses
have
these
you
specifically.
looked into, and I can't remember what they're called, is it the reserve fund that the town has, or what's the special account that the FinCon gets to spend?
Oh,
The
yeah.
emergency.
No, it's not emergency, but,
It's like a reserve, it's like
Stabilization.
reserve?
stabilization.
Stabilization.
That's what it is, and all the money from the stabilization was not in a trust, was not given to the town by L.E. Chesbrough. I mean, there are millions of dollars in there, and it's put into the Bartholomew Fund, which earns more money than the MMDT, the Mass Municipal Depository Trust. So, and I'm sure that's just leftover tax dollars that they've made into a rainy day fund to stabilize the town.
Right. Yep.
So, and I'll keep,
Stabilize the library's electrical.
bringing it up every opportunity I get. And I, people are waiting for me to kick, so I don't talk about it anymore, I don't think.
Come on now.
Well, what we have before us right now is that currently the interest-bearing fund is at Unibank earning 0.51% in interest. And with the board's approval, Cheryl can move it into the Massachusetts Municipal Depository Trust where it will yield 1.84%. The concern has been the size of the account, whether it's big enough, and whether we plan on spending it, and which we don't. And I did verify we can deposit directly into it whenever new donations are received. We don't have to put things in a holding account and then do it once a year. So whenever a turnover happens, basically Cheryl will get it into the MMDT, and the board can decide whether it wants to approve reinvestment of the interest earned into the account back into the account, which I'm assuming you do, or to have it redeposited and dispersed into a different account like RS Douglas Works. But in order to make those actions, we need votes on both.
Okay,
Now, is there any other accounts that the library has that earn interest that are in this MMDT account?
I don't know where the trust fund is. I think that.
Because I don't ever remember voting on this, any trust stuff, or, you have supported me when I've asked for votes in the past, but,
I think the trust is with the MMDT, like this old.
but we never,
And
Oh,
that
okay.
the LIGMEG is, no, never mind, that doesn't, what am I looking at? RS Douglas is with Bartholomew. That is with MMDT. And I don't think anything else earns interest. Not for us.
well,
I still want it pursued, but I'll make a motion that we do this.
Well, I have a question, how do we get it out?
You just,
It's
you
the same
just
way as
you-
we do.
Everything.
Any
Yeah.
amount, say we need 20 new windows, we just go and ask them. And what's the difference between this and Bartholomew with the guys that came and spoke to us, right?
Right,
Mhm.
I don't know.
But this is, where did this come up that we don't have to put it in Bartholomew?
Or we can't put it in, they're not giving us the go-ahead to do Bartholomew, and I don't know why.
Who's they, the town?
Yeah.
Bartholomew apparently only deals with trusts.
No, they don't, because the stabilization fund is in Bartholomew.
Well, what I
It's
have been
millions of
told
dollars.
is that they only deal with trusts, that there's no intent on spending down principal. And this is something we do intend to spend down once we can. And the MNDT, I don't know, they're different vehicles. I don't know exactly the in and outs of all the finances, but this is what they said we could do. In Bartholomew, they said we couldn't do. They being Jean and Cheryl.
So what's to our best interest? I would think it would be,
Anything better than
Get it invested. I would-
0.51%.
exactly, that's why I'm saying, to me, it's kinda like, then we should, it's a no-brainer, really. There's no downside to it, right? We can access the money when we want. It stays our money, it doesn't get mixed in to a general account with the town, right?
Yeah, no,
I
well,
mean,
they
all
all,
of our money stays our money.
yeah, and other money in there is cemetery money.
Okay,
And I think another one in there is scholarship money.
okay,
So, that, those four, 1, 2, 3, and the Douglas account, four are all in Bartholomew, and they earn more interest than the 1.84%, but that's 3 times more than 5.1, so.
right.
And I'm not sure how what do you do when you put something in a cemetery account? I mean, what's the point of that? I guess I just, haven't made plans yet, so, but I don't know what that's for. Is that, do they take the interest to mow the lawns, or?
I'll talk to Betsy.
And they only use the interest for scholarship money because they're in memory of somebody, but it's not an official trust that's been made, it's just make donations to the Justin Schnook
Scholarship fund.
Yeah, it doesn't say in the Bartholomew accounts. So that's where I'm coming from, where I have not been given a clear answer in over 20 years on any of this, so.
Well, if we're not able, so
So
we
I-
can't do it, we can't do it.
Well,
so-
no, I'm not saying we can't, because they told us we couldn't do this, the MMDT, and all of a sudden we can do it, which is nice.
Yeah,
So let's go ahead and do it, but
Yeah.
I still would not forget about the Bartholomew, because you're gonna earn more, we are gonna earn more interest on the accounts with Bartholomew. So I just keep on needling everybody.
okay.
So is everybody, the public hearing this?
Keeping that in mind, I'll entertain a motion that we transfer the interest-bearing account at Unibank to the MMDT.
I'll second it.
All those any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Action plan.
Can you vote
Oh,
to
I'm sorry, what else do we need to do?
reinvest earned interest back into the
Yes.
account?
Yes, I'll entertain a motion for that.
Or to add that to amend it to.
Amend it to include, the interest is redeposited into the account.
I'll second that one too.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Oh, we're flying. Action plan.
Action plan. So I condensed the performance objectives into a brief action plan for this year. And the weird numbers at the bottom, or at the end of all these, are references to the relevant needs, objectives, strategies piece in the strategic plan. So everything ties back to there. So my proposed action plan is, one, to make progress on building and accessibility renovation projects, by getting money. We can't guarantee any project will come to fruition without significant upfront capital. We can use to leverage further funding. So, just want everyone, me, trustees, friends, patrons, to steadily solicit through every means possible this year, taking advantage of the, 20 years since we began, it's 2020. Talk to friends, talk to strangers, contact businesses, write articles in newsletters, newspapers, online, share on the website, promote the Friends PayPal button, and, do not just go after the big money, but, go after the little donors. If everyone in Douglas paid $68, we could build a library. And so, I think that needs to be first, because what I don't want to happen is us spend money on an architect, getting RFPs, plans and proposals drawn up with no sure way to fund it. And speaking with Matt, he says that, he said that, there's money available without having to go to a debt exclusion, without having to talk about taxes and raising them at all, because, there is, the free cash, there's capital, there's other things floating around that there's a good likelihood we could get a significant portion of if we raise, some on our own first and meet them, halfway. So, my goal, is to try to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars before the end of the year. That would be great. But, once we do have more money set aside for seeing a project like this through and taking it past the finish line instead of, getting halfway there and stalling, then develop an economic, cohesive plan for the building and accessibility renovation projects jointly with the DFCC, town administrator, and all the other segment parties. And I think that this is what we've kind of tried to be focused on, is the building subcommittee before A. And, despite what was said in our subcommittee meetings about not thinking about the cost and just thinking about the needs, I really think that we should approach it from the other way and make sure that we have secure funding first before, saying, well, let's throw this at the wall and see if it works. Let's do this, because once we have money, we can actually commit to making it happen. So that was the first part of my performance objective, or not, the action plan. And then the second part was enriching library services, by developing additional successful programming for adults, preferably on Saturdays, that will attract new patrons. And I'm already taking a stab at that with the Sci-Fi Book Club. We'll see if that takes off in February. Increase availability and decrease wait times for items, addressing digital collections specifically, seek out additional funding for circulating material, and enriching the website with additional information relevant to the local community. And 3 is just managing and communicating better by ensuring staff receive professional development opportunities, keeping the trustees informed regarding milestones and goals, tackling the long-range plan and tracking progress towards addressing identified needs, which I turned this into by referencing all the strategic plan points in this, with this action plan. And finding new and effective ways of communicating with the non-digitally connected public. I think that touches on everybody's input in the performance evaluation survey. But if it doesn't, now's the time to let me know.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Looks good to me. It looks ambitious, for sure. Do we need to vote? We don't need to vote to approve these, because this is what came out of the performance objectives, right?
Yep.
Unless someone has anything like Justin said, they wanted to add or change or anything. I think you've pretty much touched on all of the major points that were brought up, and then some. So I think that's good. And I think that, I know I will really start to promote, starting off small, promoting the newsletter and that donate now button that's there, and make it so much easier. I just think that, yeah, we've got to start taking a more active role in getting the town to really, the patrons or the community, investors, whatever you want to say, to really understand our need And, well, I'll let you go forward because I have something I wanna say, but I see it's here now, so I'll let you, when we get to that. Under capital requests,
Oh.
yeah. Are we ready to move down to capital requests? I'm sure everyone has heard about the fire and the light fixture.
That
which
was
is-
exciting.
That is beyond,
That's
I'm
terrifying.
sorry,
Yeah,
but
terrifying, I agree.
this is ridiculous that we have to be in a building that's to the point, it's a fixture that caught on fire in the room where children's programming happens. And a lot of other, where the public comes in for different types of things, whether it's yoga or whatever, that space is used constantly. And if it weren't for your staff being there, you guys being there, who knows what would have happened?
Yep, so to update the general public as to what happened, last Thursday, one of the light sockets in the basement caught on fire. And it's one of the lights that are up in the drop tiles. And it was the, where the bulb and meets the connector that goes into the big overhead socket, like the entire side of it was just on fire. So we just grabbed the bulb, pulled it out, no more current, fire went out, didn't have to call the fire department or anything. The library kind of smells funny now. But we had the electrician come in Monday to examine it, and it wasn't a fault of the bulb and it wasn't a fault of the socket, it was a fault of the fixture itself. And all of our fixtures are of the same age and of the same vintage and were wired similarly. And we are seeing, light bulbs fail that shouldn't be failing because there are, and upstairs, for the past couple years, anytime one of the fluorescent bulbs goes out, I've just been having Jeff install, like the LED bypass,
Right.
so that we could put in LED bulbs instead of the fluorescent bulbs. And some of those LED bulbs are starting to go out, which shouldn't happen.
No.
LEDs don't go out.
No.
There's other, weird things going on with the library electric. It's, if there's 3 different breakers that you can switch that will turn off the circulation desk computers. I don't know how that is even up to code. And there's just unused wires everywhere. There's wires we don't know what to do. I don't know if they're live and they've been cut off somewhere, but basically, this kind of prompted, Jeff to look in and evaluate the building, because electric upgrade, all this stuff is stuff that we had been planning on doing with the big accessibility and renovation project that never, got done. So this is one of those areas of maintenance that's been deferred, and we kind of expected, we're gonna revamp and renovate the library soon. So it never got addressed, and it's one of those things that you just don't think about being an issue until a light socket catches on fire. And the refrigerator stops tripping your GFCI breakers, and your circulation computer starts turning off without a good reason.
Wow.
So anyway, Jeff Grenier looked at everything. He made a list of everything that needs to be done, and he quoted a project cost of somewhere between $10,000 and $14,650 to completely update the library's electrical systems and make them safe. He recommends replacing all the fixtures, literally every light fixture in the building, cleaning up the wiring throughout the building, clearing out unused wires, and making sure the wiring that we're actually using is in good working order, to reduce risk of future fires. So that is now a capital improvement committee request, which went in past the deadline because the deadline was actually Friday, and I submitted it on Monday. But the fire happened on Thursday, and I figure it's a pretty critical need that needs addressed.
Absolutely.
So that will be, this is something I'm gonna ask the capital, the town to do for us,
Yeah.
is update our electrical.
Yeah, yeah. This is a liability to the town. if nothing else. This is a serious
Yeah.
liability.
Yeah, libraries and fire don't go well together.
No, no, especially older libraries.
And you know, all of these wires are above drop tiles underneath like old wooden floor. I mean, it's a perfect recipe for.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I just, I can't believe that we go on, I mean, I haven't been on this board that long, just people at this table have been on much, much longer than I have. So I only know the tip of the iceberg as far as the history goes, but we have been fighting this uphill battle since I came on, and nothing has happened, and it's just, are we gonna stand by and watch this building crumble into the ground?
Well, I think a large part of the problem was, you know, for at least since, you know, the Van Hoor's plans came along and all that, it's been a battle for all or nothing. It's like, you know, why do
Right.
this whenever it's built into this renovation project? Why do that when it's baked into this renovation project, which is
Right.
right around the corner?
Yeah.
Now we can, you know, put that aside because it's officially dead and start addressing the maintenance needs, you know, that, you know, aren't renovation, it's just maintenance.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And that's what
Safety.
the capital improvement committee is
We
for.
talk about the budget for safety in this town. Should we look at that, with the budget, with that, cut that comes under safety? I think this is a priority on safety. And we're looking at what? A top line of $14,600.
Well, do we have any reason to think that they wouldn't?
No, I don't
Do it?
think it'll be an issue getting this approved.
I don't think so.
Absolutely
Of
not.
course, I don't know. I've never done a big capital improvement request like this before either. But you know, the last one we did was security, and it happened. And we asked for painting, and it happened. It didn't end up happening through the capital committee. It just ended up happening because you know the town had the money to do it. And
also the whole changing of the heating system,
mhm.
that just happened too.
It'd be a shame if those fancy new
Yeah.
Mitsubishi inverters were to.
Yes, that would be bad.
And we are gonna need a new refrigerator, but it's not something I kinda wanna do until after the rest of the electrical grid is fixed, so.
So do you have nothing right now? Are you just using the outside, or?
We're using the current refrigerator,
hole in the
but it will ground out anything that's not a direct socket. It'll ground out a GFCI. So we're having to run an electrical cord across the room and plug it in on the opposite wall. Where there's just regular outlets that don't have a breaker. Which, is it safe? No. But is it to keep the refrigerator going? Yeah. And then we just unplug it and use it like an ice chest whenever there's anything going on in the basement.
I had told you that the Friends paid for the last ice box, so probably could pay for the next one too, but we'll bring it up at the April annual meeting.
And it's weird because the refrigerator started having issues at around the same time that this light started blinking. And I know in theory they're not related, but it seems a little mysteriously serendipitous to me.
Well, if it's gonna take a really long time to get this capital approved, we may be able to get it some other way from the town. It's
I don't
not
think
something
these
we
take
wanna
long,
wait
do
a
they?
long, well, you have to wait
Yeah,
till they have
the
a
town-
The
meeting.
town
And
meeting.
Town meeting, yeah, the annual town meeting. That's, and then it couldn't start until July 1st, so.
So, we might wanna,
But some of the other requests got done faster than that.
No, like what?
they weren't capital.
They did go through the capital. I mean, like the ones that Justin just mentioned,
Yeah.
and the heating system, yeah, those
Well,
didn't go
not the
through.
heating system. no.
Well, I'll ask Matt if this should be like routed through emergency or something rather
The
than.
Yeah.
fire chief might have a comment on it.
Yeah,
Well, the fire
Well,
chief is
chief
who
is-
you
he
submit
is-
these to because
yeah.
he's the chair of the capital
Yeah,
committee.
he's
So
the
he's
chair.
the
I-
first
I
one
know,
who's
but-
gonna see this.
and we don't
He
meet,
might get to it before the capital.
yeah, we don't meet
Yeah.
until, I think, the 14th, is that a Thursday? There's no calendar around here. 14th of February.
Oh, the fence.
is our first meeting, and usually they don't, it's, at that point, we just say, okay, when should we have more meetings? And do we have all the applications in too? Cause some people are very slow in when they submit their applications, but they still get them in, eventually, but it might be 2 or 3 months after the deadline has occurred, so.
Okay, so
Well, in that
being,
case, definitely
Yeah,
talk
you-
to
being
Matt.
3 days late isn't a big deal.
No, it isn't at all, it really isn't.
No, but you might wanna talk to Adam
Matt.
or the fire chief.
And
If
Matt.
they know there's a fire down there,
Yeah,
I don't think they'll sit around and do nothing.
Well, the
Yeah.
that light socket is disconnected now, so it's off the breaker. It's just a question of what else is going to happen,
Right.
and we don't know. But like the urgent acute issue is we just don't have light there now.
Oh my god.
So what days are the libraries closed again?
Friday
Friday.
Just Friday.
and Sunday.
Oh,
Friday and Sunday.
Alright. Yeah. I would be extra paranoid.
Well, everything's off when we're not there. So
Like,
it
it's
not-
all turned off?
Yep.
Oh. Perfect.
Like on our way out, there's not a way to turn out the lights without flipping the breakers, which
Yeah.
I don't know might not be another problem because like you have to go to the breaker box and flip all the breakers off, and then leave.
Oh, alrighty then.
I didn't know
Wow,
that.
okay,
That's not-
I didn't know that.
I usually
That's a
turn
little
off the
used to
switch.
There used to be a switch. that-
Yeah, we used to
Maybe
be.
they
There's
switched
switches
it all
for
that.
some of them, but there's not switches for like all of the fluorescent overheads.
Well, this is safer. Until this gets taken care of.
Wow.
It's really satisfying at the end of the day. Just go click all those things off. I'm done.
Should have one of those big things they have in the cartoons.
Yeah.
It lights you up.
But if this happens too, it'll also save us more energy because all of the light panels will be replaced with like the flat LEDs that don't even have bulbs. And
Yeah.
so that'll be good. It's better than the LED tubes we've been bypassing ballasts with. And it does include one upgrade because downstairs and basically above Deb's desk right now, we have a whole bunch of track lighting on the wall with just regular bulbs. And then a 2x2 fluorescent panel above that, and Jeff wants to get rid of all that track lighting and just make it a 2x4 fluorescent.
Mm.
He was concerned about that too because it's like there's a wire for like a plug-in coming down out and then back up into the ceiling tiles where it's plugged in somewhere.
Okay. Hmm.
Okay.
Alrighty then.
So talk about the other capital request, which isn't quite as exciting anymore.
I liked your previous wording better.
I needed to make it.
Crumbling steps would be better.
Crumbling steps are bad. But yeah, the other capital request, well, the other one was just kind of like an FYI, because I was just gonna submit a capital improvement request for not actually honestly a request, just saying, hey, this is something that's gonna be on the radar within the next couple of years, because Matt likes to do things on a like projection and know what's coming up in terms of assets and whatnot. But Ellie and Adam Furno made the point, why wait? Just submit an actual request. You don't have to have the quotes. We can say that the quotes are, in process. So basically, Adam gave me the language for this capital request, which is to address, more exterior maintenance. We always thought that we would, repoint all the bricks and fix things whenever a renovation project happens, but we can do that now. That's what the Capital Improvement Committee is there for. So this capital request is for library exterior repair phase 1 to address repairing the masonry on the front steps because the front steps are crumbling again. The trustees paid for it with private money. 2015, I think. It was right after I started. And it wasn't cheap. but I mean, it's crumbling again. And I talked to Adam, I was like, is that something we should be concerned about? And he's like, no, that's usually the life cycle of these concrete repairs. So, you know, it's just another one of those things that requires maintenance. And so, if we, you know, say, you know, phase 1 of exterior repair will involve fixing the masonry on the front steps. The wooden backing on the decorative copper on the roof is rotting, so the copper is kind of going to lean backwards and eventually fall on the roof if that's not fixed. And then any other leftover funds after fixing those will be used to repoint as much of the brickwork as possible, because about 25% of the bricks needed repointed according to the 2012 report done by Van Hortis. So that's the other request.
So, you said 5 years for the concrete steps, so useful life concrete. What's the copper stuff on the roof, the decorative copper stuff? What's the useful life for that?
I have no idea.
And what is the useful life for repointing bricks? I mean, this is the type of questions that are
We're
asked.
gonna ask.
Yeah.
I'll ask Adam.
Yeah, that's fine. Adam, unfortunately, he used to be sort of a real steady, great member of the capital committee, but he's no longer on it. He quit. He didn't quit. He just had too many other commitments to be able to do it effectively, so.
Adam is the one person in town who, if he goes on vacation, I panic.
So we didn't vote on these, we didn't even know about these capital improvement things. Should we vote to support these 2 requests?
Absolutely, I'll entertain a motion to support Justin's 2 requests for capital, don't even wanna say improvements, capital expenditures. Do we have a
So
motion to
moved.
support? Second? Do we have a second?
Second.
Oh,
Supporting Justin? All those in favor?
alright.
Aye. And then I see here you're scheduled to present our budget request to the Board of Selectmen on February 18th. Should board members be there?
It's entirely up to y'all, whether you come. So things are working different this year. I'm not sure exactly how this is gonna go, but instead of presenting to FinCom first this year, we're presenting to the Board of Selectmen first. And so I have to present our approved budget to the Board of Selectmen on February 18th and discuss why it diverges from Matt's 5-year spreadsheet plan.
Okay.
So that's when we'll be talking about, you know, I want to put back in, you know, $1,000 maintenance item to help cover things like these. And you know, the increase in CERC budget that we're asking for is basically gonna be the big thing. And you know, either they'll say yes or they'll say no. If they say no, we'll still be above MAR, and we'll still be getting a budget increase that's kind of on par with what we would have expected. It's just a matter of, you know, this extra 10,000 we're asking for to meet our needs, which I'll advocate for a lot. I mean, and I think that this graph
Yeah.
says a lot in terms
Absolutely.
of why that money is justified. But you know, I've got lists of, you know, things on hold, how long people have been waiting for various things, and you know, the fact that I'm not even buying any juvenile or young adult licenses right now because I've spent as much as I can really justify on that. So that's gonna be the BOS, and then FinCom's on February 25th. That is our next trustee meeting. So if y'all are willing to kind of step out of the trustee meeting and come back and kind of do a switch double thing that night.
I can't come to the meeting on the 25th, and I'd prefer it if we had it like Thursday, the 27th. Would that be okay with other people? I mean, otherwise somebody's gonna have to take the minutes, and I don't know if everybody likes to do that as much as I do.
27th
That would
is
be
fine
two
with me.
meetings, though,
What?
that would be 2 meetings that week, unless you don't think we're going to the
FinCom?
FinCom meeting.
Well, a lot of times, nobody does go to the FinCom, except for Justin. You know, and they're advisory, FinCom is advisory, they're not, they don't have any big, strong muscle in town.
I can't do the 27th.
Okay, well, I can't do the 25th, so that's all right. You know, you're more important.
So you want to stick with the 25th then?
And, you know, it's almost fun to watch the whole FinCom meeting instead of jumping in and out, just to hear how they react to.
Yeah, right
I don't know
now
if you like
we can
stuff like
pick our time. We can either be, because no matter what, senior center goes first, because it's just Patrice. She's quick in and out. She's done. So we can be after her, which would put us around 7:20ish, or we could let the Board of Health go after her and then go, which would put us around 8ish. So are there preferences there?
Well, if we were to, would we be able to meet at 7 and then go over to FinCom at 8?
Yeah, we could try to get done in
We
an
try to
hour
do
again.
that?
We've done it tonight.
We did?
Almost.
Yeah.
No, we've got 3 minutes. If we're done within 3 minutes, we've had an hour-long
Ellie
meeting.
was saying she can't be here then, so.
Somebody has to.
Somebody
take
has to
minutes.
take minutes.
I'll take that.
I have to run the minutes. I have to run the meeting.
Dana said he did.
All right,
Okay,
Always take that.
all right,
Yeah,
good.
it's like
Hey.
it.
that's right.
There you go.
It's a bad habit.
But I've been using the last few times, just.
I've just been
using-
sending Ellie the ODF and those,
Yeah,
you
it's,
know, these.
yeah,
you know.
yeah, it worked.
So I mean, the
it works
minutes ought to
well.
look very familiar here.
Yeah, I know.
Very
I changed
identical.
the font a bit.
Change the font. Okay, so 8, I'll tell Jean 8.
Okay, so this is the, when's the mailing that's gonna go out?
Yeah, so you all have a preview of this, so you can all fill it out and send it in. This is.
That is
we get-
super
I don't know if you
Yeah,
get,
exclusive,
no, I didn't get one.
advanced
I don't see
copy.
another one either.
yeah, Justin,
You have another,
can you, she doesn't have that, yeah, here you go.
I'm sorry I didn't get this out as a PDF ahead of time, but to be frank, I didn't get it done until about an hour before the meeting, and I didn't figure it would have been a waste at that point.
So if you remember to send it to me as an ODT.
Yeah.
Other new business? Hearing none, the next meeting scheduled for February 25th, as we said. We're gonna meet at 7, right? We'll meet at 7, okay. Great. All right, in that case, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
we're done already?
Yeah.
Quick, somebody second.
Second.
That's what happens when
Did
you're
you have
not
anything
here.
you wanted to add?
Yeah, we flew.